Namaskar. Today we are here with our 27th Kritya talk show. After a Kritya Poetry Festival of 10 days, we have started a talk show and with the many topics and with many scholars and poets and dancers and musicians. Now we have come with a new show which is called The Exchange of the Poetry. We want to know that what happens when a poem is read in another language, if it is read in another culture, if it is read in another by another person, does poetry change the meaning? And if it does not change the meaning, then it means the poetry is universal. That is our idea. And that is how we came here with Ashraf Aboul Yazid. It was his idea. He gave me this idea with his support, and we both are coming here with this idea, the exchange of poetry. This is the first issue. That is why we thought that we will show our own way to present poetry. And from next issue or next talk onward, we will invite two poets who can read each other's poetry in their own languages. Anyone who is interested can tell us, and we will be very happy to give this place to them. This idea is about, it has a background also, like Ashraf tells that Adoni's line is that the bird let the branches change the birds. And the same thing, why not poetry change the language or place? So, Ashraf, do you want to say something about it?
Yes, Rati, thank you for inviting us together to start this episode and this theme. And we want all poets to think because they are involved in translating somehow. So by repeating their or showing their experience, this will be good, a new bridge to cross for more communication and more productive work for poets. So let us start. And as they will say, they will see in this episode, we will have talk, questions, answers, videos, and recitation in Arabic and Hindi as well.
So, I will start with a small clip about this poetry exchange. Let us enjoy it.
Poetry is not iron, but cuts the iron. In iron, there is no poetry, but the sharpness of poetry.
This was made by
Yes.
Edina Berna, who is our artist in a poetry festival also. So thank to Edina Berna. I want to start poetry with the Ashraf's poetry. So first, I will show you a small clip video about his work, but I could not translate it into Hindi because my video maker was not working. But but you can see that how he is not only bilingual, but he is in a many areas. He is a poet, he is a journalist, he is a translator, a novelist, scholar, and many other things. So shall we start with it?
أنا إنسان أحاول أن أحرث الكلمات والثمر لاحقا.
الكتابي والثقافي والمعرفي تنبت لنا أجنحة.
وأنا أحسب عمري بالكتب التي أصدرتها. قوة ما تريد أن تراه لا بد أن تفصح عنه الكاميرا. كل إنسان نلتقيه في السفر هو فائدة جديدة، هو حياة جديدة.
ما معنى الكتاب اليوم في زمن الخراب العربي؟
حينما تحقق أنت كتابا منجزا وسط الفشل وسط الخراب، أنت قدمت إنجازا.
في بيت القصيد، بيت المبدعين العرب، نفتح الباب واسعا لمثقف وكاتب اسمه أشرف أبو اليزيد. أهلا وسهلا.
بيت القصيد يأتيكم السبت 9 مساء بتوقيت القدس الشريف.
So, welcome, Ashraf. It is your stage, but I welcome you. And I want to start your poetry. I was translating your poetry. Almost, I have translated 20 small poems. One thing that I find that in your poetry, like I say, the street in Cairo, and I feel that it is quite painful. It is about war plus the love for the country, for the place. Can you tell me something about this poem? And then I will read in Hindi also, and then you can read in your language. A street in Cairo. Your voice is not coming. Your voice is you please unmute.
Yes,
Yes, yeah, please. Yeah.
you know, we cannot explain our poems, but we can make some introduction. Such
Yeah.
poem is talking about a lot of people who are coming back in short vacations to their homes, but they don't have enough time to do anything. It's misery that life is spent away from homes, away from nations, away to collect some money or some budget to spend back home, but they don't find time to do that.
Yeah, this is actually beautiful poem. So, do you want to read, please?
I will read in Arabic, and I wish you read in Hindi later.
Sure.
شارع في القاهرة. الرجل العائد في إجازته القصيرة ليس لديه سوى يومين، يوم يصل، يوم يتهيأ للرحيل، يوم يراها فيبكي، يوم تبكي وهو يودعها، يوم يفتح للأصدقاء ذراعيه، يوم يضم السراب، يوم يحكي لهم عن الحرب، يوم يحكون له عن ضحاياها، يوم للحياة ثم يوم لموت طويل. الرجل العائد في إجازته القصيرة يتذكر عندما قامت الحرب كيف وضعوا على عينيه علامات التصويب وسدوا بفوهات الدبابات فمه ومات دون أن يشم رائحة البارود. الرجل العائد في إجازته القصيرة يستقبله شارع في القاهرة ورصيفان يسكب بينهما رمل الجسد المتصحر في غربته، يحسب الأوراق التي احترقت في المعارك الخاسرة تحت أعمدة النور والنار. الرجل العائد في إجازته القصيرة يشبه هذا الشارع حين يمر به موكب الحزن فلا يترك غير وقع الألم. شارع في القاهرة لم تعبره المراكب والروح منذ 1000 عام، جفت الأشجار فيه والناس واختلط الطين بالعظام، لكنه يظل يشبه نهرا كما تشبه الحياة الموت. الرجل العائد في إجازته القصيرة مثل شارع في القاهرة تطل عليه شرفة اليأس ترقص النكبات داخله، تغوص أقدامهن في الدماء والجثث التي نامت في قلبه بعد أن أدت دورها في نشرات الأنباء. الرجل العائد في إجازته القصيرة يقلب الفؤاد والبصر في راحة الكف بين مدينتين رسمتهما السنوات، ويسأل من رمال وريح، ويسأل كم نكبة تكفي. Thank you.
To this poem because we all return sometime, and the returning to home is very important, and which is very difficult also. We want to come back, we want to go back, but going back is very, very difficult. And that pain, along with many other dilemma problems, comes in this poem. I love the thing in this poem is that this poem is giving the images as the person is walking in the street. He's getting the images. We are getting the images that what he's seeing. So I will read in Hindi. I hope you will like the Hindi version of this poem. काहिरो की एक गली, वह आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौट रहा है, उसके पास ज्यादा नहीं, बस 2 दिन है। एक दिन आने का, एक दिन जाने की तैयारी का। एक दिन उससे मिलने पर रोने का, और एक दिन उससे विदा होने लेने पर रोने का। एक दिन उनकी मृग मरीचिका के आलिंगन का, एक दिन दोस्तों के लिए बाहें फैलाने का। एक दिन युद्ध के बारे में बताने का, एक दिन युद्ध में शहीद हुओं की कथा सुनाने का। एक दिन जिंदगी के नाम, एक दिन अनंत मृत्यु के लिए। वह आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौट रहा है, याद रखता है कि कब युद्ध शुरू हुआ होगा। उन्होंने उसकी आंखों पर निशाना साधा, उन्होंने टैंक की नली उसके मुंह में घुसा दी। वह कैसे बारूद सूंघे बिना मर गया। वह आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौट रहा है, उसका स्वागत कर रही हैं दोनों पगडंडियों के बीच काहिरो की गलियां, जिनके बीच की दूरियों में वह गिरा। उसकी परित्यक्त देह की रेत, हारे हुए पिछले युद्ध में जले रोशनी के खंभों के नीचे कागजों की राख। वह आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौटा है, उदासी के उस जुलूस की तरह है जो दर्द के अलावा कुछ नहीं छोड़ता। काहिरो की एक गली 2000 साल से उजाड़ है, जो सूखे दरख्तों की, आदमियों की, मिट्टी में मिली हड्डियों में ठसी एक नदी सी महसूस होती है, बिल्कुल वैसे ही जैसे कि जिंदगी मौत जैसी लगा करती है। वह आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौटा है, निराशा वाली काहिरो की एक सड़क के समान है, जिसके भीतर एक हारी हुई जंग नाच रही है। खून और लाशों पर धंसते पांव के साथ मृत दिल में रहते हैं अखबार की खबरों की तरह। वो आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौटा है, 2 शहरों के बीच हाथ फैलाकर दृष्टि मांग रहा है। 2 शहरों के बीच हाथ फैलाकर रेत और हवाओं पर बनी वक्त की खींची रेखाओं के साथ। वह आदमी जो अल्प विराम में घर लौटा है, आखिरकार कितने युद्ध और चाहिए। The last line is how many wars we need
Yes.
more.
Yes, we need to count how many years will we be waiting for something good. Yeah.
So this is actually, I love this poem because this is a kind of universal. The war is not on a war which we play, which is there between 2 countries, or war is not. War is in every moment, every minute. So I like this poem. Do you like any other poem which you have given me to be read?
No, I think your choice was very clever because you went ahead to the war inside, not the war outside. You know something about women, something about prison. Someone asked me, "Did you go to prison?" because you wrote about prison like very good. I said, fortunately, I didn't go to prison, but the prison is not the one behind bars. It could be also outside those bars. So actually, we like life, but we want also a better life for everyone.
Thank you. It's a beautiful poem. One poem was very interesting. Anyway, we have many poems to be discussed, but one poem was very interesting. That is the a map for the Google Suns. It
Yeah.
is very tricky and very beautiful. Do I read first?
Yes, but I will request you to read it in Hindi and English because it is not available in hand, the Arabic one, but we will read the English one, the
Do you
Hindi
have
and English one.
yeah, you read in English one and I will read in
Okay,
Hindi.
okay.
Uh, uh, so गूगल पुत्रों के लिए नक्शा. वी ऑल यूज गूगल, है ना. तुम
Yeah.
बस कुछ बिंदु और लकीरें हो, तुम कुछ वृत्तों और किनारों के बचे हुए रंग हो. कुछ भी तुम्हारी पहचान नहीं कर सकता, न ही दिल की धड़कनें, न सीने की सांसें. तुम रिसर्च इंजन में के पुत्र हो, तुम अक्षर और अंक हो जो गूगल के नक्शे में बने हैं. It's beautiful, and that how the technology is, though the technology is very very is useful, but same time the technology is very what you say, that lifeless, है ना, that you
Yes, it
ना ही दिल की
actually
धड़कनें, ना
it
सीने की
it
सांसें.
is
हाँ, yes.
yeah, it is transferring us actually to be a part
Mm,
of that technology, to be like robots.
mm,
It takes also from our humanity
mm,
this kind of technology. So I will
mm,
read the English version of Google's Sun.
mm, mm, mm.
There is a house.
Mm.
No, this is the house. Google, not the one, because I came to the one in order.
Mhm. Yeah, I
You
want
know,
to. Uh,
it is like
uh,
searching. It is like searching in Google now. We have to be patient, a little patient. Ah, now
no, one
because
thing I
it
tell
is
you
the
that
last one.
one thing was very interesting, that for Google Map, in starting when the Google Map was there and our children, my daughter, when I was in Europe, and she said that search this thing by Google Map, and I thought okay, and she gave me that how to search and all, and somehow I could not reach to the place. We were just going around here and there, and at last I used my old technique which I used in India and everywhere, that ask someone,
Ask
and
someone.
mostly
Yeah,
then like say policeman
yeah,
or a vendor, and while asking I reached in the right direction and I
yes,
reached to
yes,
the right place. So I told my daughter that this Google Map is only for you. For me, it
yeah.
is the communication to
Yes,
know people and to ask people, and to whom, and we have to be very careful that to whom we should ask.
yes.
So this
You.
is
It
very.
says. Yeah. It says like this.
Mm,
You are just a few points and lines.
mm,
You are colors left in some corners and circles. Nothing
mm,
could identify you. No heart pulses, no breast breathes, and no words. You
mm,
are the sons of a research engine. You are
mm,
numbers and letters typed on the maps of Google. Actually, our life came to be like this. We are nothing but numbers. And even when I wrote my novel, 31, all characters are were numbers, were only figures, no names, because the new world transferred us to only figures.
But Pythagoras said that everything is a number. So maybe after some time we will be only number.
Yeah, but let us go to this short video, because I want to show Rat Saxena not spending time with Ashraf. I want to also to read your poems in Arabic.
So which poem I should read now? Tell me.
You will read Udaybur, but let us play the video first. The video
Okay.
about Rati Saxena. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I show the video.
Yes.
راتي ساكسينا صوت هندي متفرد يمثل الروح الأكاديمية والحساسية الشعرية والإرادة النسوية القوية. في دواوينها تحتفي راتي ساكسينا بالإنسانية في قصائد مكثفة تحضر بها جميع الكائنات الحية، فهي تكتب عن العنكبوت والنملة والقطة والبومة بفهم مماثل لكل الأشياء الحية والجامدة على حد سواء، وهي مثلما تترجم الكائنات شعرا تنقل ألسن شعراء العالم إلى لغتها الهندية، كما ترجمت أشعارها إلى الماليالمية والإيطالية والأستونية والفيتنامية والإنجليزية. وفي مشروعها كريتيا تواصل بناء الجسور مع الثقافات الأخرى، سواء بمجلتها الإلكترونية أو مهرجانها الدولي أو اللقاءات الحية على فيسبوك ويوتيوب. كنا نتناول الطعام في أحد المطاعم بالمعهد الذي خصصه المنظمون لضيوف مهرجان مومباي للشعر 2017، وفي رحلة العودة بعد الغداء استوقفتني راتي مع حفنة من الأصدقاء لنشاهد الصور التي التقطتها على هاتفها النقال لأوراق سقطت من الأشجار العجوز، لكنها لا تزال تحتفظ بألوانها الشابة. وبقدر ما تلتقط الشاعرة صورة السيلفي معنا، تأخذ صورا خاصة مع الأشجار والنباتات والدروب كذلك. وقد اخترت لها قصيدة مسقط رأسها أديبور عن إحدى مدن راجستان التي زرتها قبل سنوات، أعادتني إليها تلك القصيدة البديعة.
Thank you, Ashraf. And the thing is that I am in hurry. I'm not finding my poem in Udaipur.
So let us listen to it in Arabic. How do you say?
Yeah.
Because I want listeners. A lot of them are listening to Arabic. So I will read in Arabic. أنا في أديبور، شعر راتي ساكسينا. بجوار تلك الشجرة ذاك المعبد الذي يأخذ سمكه من الآلهة والطبول والأجراس، متلهفة لتقديم ما لدي، بينما تنتظر بقرة بذيل يهش الذباب. وإلى جانب ذلك كله تلك البحيرة الراقصة، البحيرة التي كانت قبل ميلادي، البحيرة التي ستبقى بعدي، البحيرة المتجمدة في قلبي، البحيرة التي تذوب قطرة فقطرة لتغمر ذاتها داخلي. كنت شجرة بجانب تلك البحيرة، وحين حكت الماشية ظهورها في لحائي محتني، فسقطت في البحيرة ثم سبحت في أحلامي. كنت حطام سفينة على وجه البحيرة، يلتقطني طفل ما ليقذف بي إلى حيث كنت. ملت مرة أخرى واندفعت للخارج مرة أخرى، خرجت مرة بعد أخرى لأعود مرة بعد أخرى، وفي كل مرة أصبح أكثر قربا. أنا في تلك البحيرة وأنا البحيرة في هذه الحياة، أنا في أديبور. لاحقا ربما أصبحت ثمرة على تلك الشجرة بجوار البحيرة. بلوب، صوت سقوطي يغطس، ببغاء أسفل الماء ليمسك بي. وماذا بعد؟ بأية نكهة مضغني، أتذكر ذلك المنقار الخشن وذاك اللسان اللاعق. وربما أصبحت جرسا سقط من خلخال راقصة في بحيرة القصر، بعض طنين خلخال ما لا يزال بداخلي حتى اليوم، مثله كطعم قطرة دموع تتمرد فوق لساني. لا يزال بداخلي شخص ما عطش أكثر من أي وقت مضى، يريد أن يخرج من الخباء. على شاطئ هذه البحيرة في إحدى أسر الطبقة الوسطى ولدت ابنة رابعة، لا تصفيق، لا قرع طبول، لم يكن غير ظل الصمت. تخمرت عاصفة بالبحيرة، جرفها المد إلى البحر. ابنة رابعة لا قلب لها، ليس هناك من تسميه لها. ابنة رابعة مثل بحيرة في إدايبور ترقص عيناها دوما. أكان خلخال راقصة بحيرة القصر البحيرة تضحك خشخشته من دون سبب؟ اليوم بجوار البحيرة هذه الابنة الرابعة تستمتع بكل حيواتها الماضيات كامرأة. أليس لدي ما أقدمه لأسلافي؟ أليست هناك حقوق لقطراتها المقدسة؟ ألم تكن ابنة أكانت ثمرة توت مر؟ ألم تكن نبتة أكانت شجيرة مقدامة؟ لم تكن ابنة ولكنها كانت توتة برية، مزيجا من الذكريات الحلوة والمرة. ليست ابنة وليست بحيرة حلوة، لكنها المياه المرآة للمرارة. You know, Rati Saxena, this poem was written some 20 years ago, as it is written in my papers, but it is still living and it will continue to live because actually it is expressing the fate and destiny of all women who are experiencing the same thing you did. So thank you for this poem that is historical, if you can say, because it summed up all we had about women and their careers in houses where maybe women and the young girls are struggling to get their rights.
Thank you, Ashraf. Yeah, more than 25 years, I think. And the interesting thing was that the Udaipur was my birthplace, and I could, when I was very young or I born, after a few months, my parents shifted from there, and then I have never gone to Udaipur in my life until I was almost 30s or 40s starting. And when I have gone to Udaipur, I thought that I belong to this place. And then I remember, and I'm just actually, it is same thing like the returning back, going back to your memories, to your lives, the previous lives. So it is like that. Udaipur mein hu. I in Udaipur, मैं उदयपुर में हूँ. उस दरख्त के किनारे वह जो मंदिर है, जिसमें ढेर से देवी देवता हैं, घंटे घड़ियाल हैं और प्रसाद की चाह में खड़ी गाय पूंछ से मक्खियां भिनभिनाती रहती है, उसी के सामने लहरा रही है वह झील। झील जो मेरे जन्म से पहले थी, झील जो मेरे मौत के बाद भी रहेगी, झील जो मेरे जिगर में जमी है, झील जो लगातार बहती रहती है, पिघलती रहती है, बूंद बूंद कर समा गई है मुझ में। मैं जो कभी झील के किनारे का दरख्त थी, जिसके तने पे ढोर डंगर पीठ रगड़ा करते थे, तना घिसते घिसते जल राशि में समा गया, तभी स्वप्न में भी तैरती उतरती हूँ। मैं जो झील के में तैरता लठ थी, तैरते बच्चे उसे उठाते और कुछ दूर तक फेंक देते, जो ही पास आती कुछ और दूर फेंक दी जाती। आज तक फेंकी जा रही हूँ बार बार कुछ और पास आने के लिए। वह झील मैं हूँ और मैं वह झील, बस एक ही जन्म का संबंध है, मैं उदयपुर में। सेकंड पार्ट, शायद इसी पेड़ से फल बनकर टपक पड़ी थी मैं झील में। उस तोते ने लंबी उड़ान भरी और उठा लिया, बड़े शौक से चबाया था मुझे। आज भी याद है मुझे उसकी चोंच की रगड़, उसकी जीभ का सहलाना, या फिर उस रंग महल की नर्तकी के घुंघरुओं से टपका एक घुंघरू थी मैं। उसके लंबे घूंघट से झांकती कजरारी आंखों का एक आंसू थी मैं। कोई घुंघरू अब भी लगातार बजता है मुझ में, मेरी जीभ एक आंसू चुभलाती रहती है, उस जालीदार झरोखे से बाहर आने के लिए कोई तरसता रहता है। इस झील के किनारे किसी सरकारी बाबू के घर में चौथी बेटी जन्मी थी। न थाली बजी न सोहर गवी, एक सन्नाटा सा छा गया, झील में तूफान आया, समुद्र तक ज्वार चला आया। चौथी बेटी के दिल नहीं होता, उसका कोई अपना नहीं होता। चौथी बेटी उदयपुर की झील है, उसकी आंखें लहराती रहती हैं। चौथी बेटी राजनर्तकी का घुंघरू है, बिन बात खिलखिलाती रहती है। आज वही चौथी बेटी झील के किनारे खड़ी है, अपने पूर्व जन्मों को चुगलाती हुई। बेटी होने मात्र से क्या अपने कर्तव्यों से बरी हो गई मैं? चुल्लू भर पित्रांजलि देने की भी हकदारनी नहीं रही मैं। गोया बेटी नहीं झरबेरी का बेर हूँ, झट से जड़ पड़ी कांटों में छिद गई। गोया बेटी नहीं करौंदे की झाड़ हूँ, गोया बेटी नहीं खट्टी पक्की यादें हूँ, गोया बेटी नहीं खारी झील हूँ, सागरी झील हूँ। थैंक यू।
Thank you. Before continuing reading poetry, I'd like to ask you about translating poems and translating poetry. Actually, everyone has his own secrets about translating poetry. So, if you are giving us some secrets of Rati Saxena's way to translate, what is the best way?
One thing I'm choosing, I can't translate everyone. The poetry should open for me. If it does not open, I can't translate. And so that is very important for me, because I have and second thing, I should like the background of the poetry, the background of the poet. I should like I should enter in the poetry. If I enter in that language, main language, then it is easy for me to translate. Some poems opens for me easily, like a dream, like a flower. They open. Some poems don't open for me. Second thing is for me is important that I need to talk to poet, not to all the time, because some poems I can understand, and for some poems, like when I was translating Helge from Norway, it was very difficult for me to understand the images he was getting from the nature. I love those poems, but I wanted to know that what was the image he was watching, and then he sent me. It was a very good communication between me and Helge, that he was planning to. He asked me that, do you have that question answers? We can try. We can print a book on it, because it was for each and every poem he was sending me the image, that what kind of image he saw to write that particular poem, because that Norway nature is very, very different from Indian. Though I have gone to Norway, I have gone to Helge's house also, but still I wanted to know. So some are very interesting. Some poems I don't need; they open to me very easily. So my first thing is that I read the poem. If I like, the poem tells me that you translate me, and I translate. I use heart more than my brain for translating poem.
Yeah,
So that
very,
is
very
me.
good. And you mentioned the photos, and here I am showing you or reading some Arabic poem you wrote and I translated. It's about frames of those photos. which says the frames of pictures.
تصوير. Yeah.
إطارات الصور. دائما ما أتمنى أن أضبط نفسي وأنا أنظر داخل إطارات الصور، أن نصبح أصدقاء مع الجدران. أضع نفسي في صورة من القرن 18. الآن لدي لونان فقط، وقفة واحدة، لكن لا فراشات على الزهور، لا فراشات على ظهور بلوزتي. أسبق زمني لأصل إطارا من القرن 21. فجأة تتقافز ألوان عديدة أمام وجهي، جاعلة ألواني الأولى تتلاشى. لا أعتقد أنه يمكنني أن أكون صديقة للجدران، إنها تعبر طرقي وحسب. أيتها الصور، يرجى الانتظار، ربما تكون إطاراتك أقصر من قامتي. We all you and dreaming to be inside those frames, and you make those frames like time machine. You are crossing the time by going into those pictures. It's a good image that will remain in mind forever.
Thank you very much. This is in Hindi, I will read. तस्वीर की चौखट. मैंने बहुत चाहा कि तस्वीर की चौखट में बैठ एक ही मुद्रा में जमकर दीवारों से दोस्ती बनाऊं. मैंने बहुत चाहा कि तस्वीर की चौखट में बैठ एक ही मुद्रा में जमकर दीवारों से दोस्ती बनाऊं. मैंने अपने आप को 18वीं सदी की तस्वीर में बैठा देना चाहा. मेरे पास केवल 2 रंग और एक भंगिमा रह गई. मेरे जम्फर के फूलों पर तितलियां तब भी नहीं थी. अब मैं वक्त से काफी आगे निकल गई. 21वीं सदी की चौखट में जाकर जम गई. अचानक मेरे भीतर इतने सारे रंग उछाल मारने लगे कि मेरा अपना रंग ही दब गया. दीवारों से मेरी दोस्ती नहीं हो सकती. वे सिर्फ मेरा रास्ता काटती हैं. तस्वीरों, इंतजार करो, शायद तुम्हारी चौखटें मेरे कद से बहुत छोटी हैं. शायद तुम्हारी चौखटें मेरे कद से छोटी हैं. Nobody is there. If somebody wanted it in English, I could read in English, but I don't find anyone who wants in English. Otherwise, it could be read in English also. So it is very nice that we are doing. Now, shall we go to your poem, I think.
Okay.
So, which poem do you want? I like your small poems also, very, very small poems, which were actually beautiful. I like all your poems, but which are but these small poems are actually very beautiful because they are not haiku. Still, they have some kind of philosophy in each and every poem. So I will read 3-4 small poems.
Okay.
For example, first, prison. Can I read prison?
Yes.
स्वप्नशील कैदी अपने गार्ड से पूछता है कि तुम कैसे कह सकते हो कि तुम मेरे कैदी नहीं हो? आखिर हम दोनों के बीच में एक शिक्षा ही तो है. It's beautiful and clever. Can you read it?
Yes. سأل العنوان هو السجن. سأل المسجون الحالم السجان الظالم: من يدريك أنك لست سجيني؟ هل تفصلنا إلا نفس القضبان؟ This is the same thing we were talking about the bars between you and the world. Yeah.
It happens. And in this pandemic time, we felt same thing. Because
Yes.
though we were inside and we were feeling as if outsiders are other side, no? So the people who are walking on the road, whom we can see from, who can watch from our house,
Yes.
but we see them, they are not outsider, or they are actually other side, or they are also like us. So then this is
The
also yeah.
No, I
Please.
was telling you about this pandemic era that all human beings became some sort of human animals, locked down in their homes, and while other animals are witnessing or viewing them. It is, we can imagine the contradiction between we were visiting zoos and looking at animals, and imagine those birds from the windows they watch us locked in our houses. They are
That is
out. They are out without masks. They are out without masks. They are safe.
they are safe. Especially what I feel that even these small insects like mosquito,
Yeah,
ants and all,
very
this less,
lucky.
they are lucky, and they are astonished that why these people are not leaving house.
Mm.
Because before we used to leave house for them, but now we are always in the house, so they feel very suffocated and they have gone out.
And continue cleaning, which is making them suffering.
Them suffering. That is true.
Yeah, tell me.
This poem, Sadness, is very, very sweet and sad poem, and beautiful. I want to read this Sadness.
Yes.
Do I? Uh,
Yeah.
उदासी उदासी मेरी प्रेमिका है, वह मेरे लिए तब तक नृत्य करती है जब तक पौ ना पड़ जाए, और तब तक मुझे मोहती है जब तक मेरी जिंदगी की सांझ ना गहरा जाए.
Yeah.
उदासी मेरी प्रेमिका.
yeah. الحزن امرأة تعشقني، ترقص لي حتى مطلع فجري، فأضاجعها حتى مغرب عمري. There is a secret about this poem, that it's let us say its vocabulary are taken from the Holy Quran. I
Oh,
mean the time of sadness, the time of end of life, the time of beginning of life. These are words generated from the Holy Quran, which is for those who are very common with the reading Quran, that they can spot the vocabulary I use in many poems from the Holy Quran.
beautiful. One
But I
poem.
want to go back to you, Rati, please, because I
Okay,
liked
please.
this poem very, very much.
This
Uh,
one.
this is about the accountant office, the cat,
Ah.
the cat. When I wrote about you in this short documentary, I wrote that you are generating life in everything, not only creatures but even the abstract. بعد ظهر ممل في مكتب المحاسب القانوني، على الأربطة السميكة لدفتر الحسابات غفت قطة كبيرة وسمينة، اختلست النظر حفنة أرقام من خلف الأربطة السميكة، خرجت تتقافز وترقص، تنظر إليهم القطة الكسولة بدون اهتمام، ثم تغمض عينيها مرة أخرى فأمعاؤها ممتلئة. نظرت إلى تلك القطة وطالعت كذلك الأعداد. تخيلت حين تصبح هذه الأرقام في معدتها وترفرف كركام داخلها، وأني حينها لن أكون هناك في ذلك المكتب مرة أخرى. We will not be there, but the image will remain, the image of that cat and that office.
Yes, it is actually a true thing because I had to, because of this my Kritya festival, I had to sit in accountant office from morning, and that is the old kind of accountant office with many, many books. And then you have to sit all the time in front of them because they don't want to use their brain. They just know how to add the figures. And so
Yeah.
that you have to make them work. So that is चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के दफ्तर में उबासी भरी हुई
The
दोपहरी.
voice.
हेलो, our voice is okay? हेलो,
Yeah.
हाँ. चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट के दफ्तर में उबासी भरी दोपहरी. बही खाते की मोटी जिल्द पर एक बिल्ली ऊँघ रही है. बही खाते की मोटी जिल्द पर एक बिल्ली ऊँघ रही है. खाते से कुछ अंक पन्ने उचकाकर बाहर झाँकने लगते हैं. हौले से निकलकर कूद-कूद कर नाचने लगते हैं. बिल्ली ऊबी से देखती है, फिर आंखें बंद कर लेती है. उसकी आंतों में काफी कुछ भरा हुआ है. मैं उस बिल्ली और उन अंकों को देखती हूँ और कल्पना करती हूँ कि ये सारे अगड़म-बगड़म अंक बिल्ली के पेट में होंगे और मैं इस दफ्तर में कभी नहीं होंगी. मैं इस दफ्तर में कभी नहीं होंगी.
Yeah.
So it is a little different kind of poetry, but people like it because everyone, it's so boring, no? That though they are the accountants are earning the most money, that a very high their payment is very high and all, but sometimes I feel that it is so suffocated to be a accountant.
We had a friend who came to be an accountant, and we thought he was feeling bored about numbers and figures, but no, he was not. He was enjoying looking at them, counting them, recounting money, and following screens about the money and the finance. So it is a matter that it is difficult for a poet to be an accountant and vice versa.
I feel that there are two things. One thing is that mathematics is so beautiful because they say it is a one kind of poetry itself. Because and many mathematicians are good poets. The thing is that the solving problem is different, but accounting somebody else's money is not so easy. That is why I find that because he's not finding it, he's not counting his own money. He's counting somebody else's money, and his money will be reached to him after a long. So maybe he's enjoying in the other way, but anyway, it was a different kind of poetry, and I I also like this poetry
but
very
I
much.
tell you to finish this point, Ratiji, to finish this point, I like numbers, but when they are growing in my bank account,
Yeah. which happens very rarely.
yeah,
Actually, I got your poem, The Women is Three, but I'm not, I have to search because I bought my papers in between. And so that poem I wanted to read, The Woman. Gilas is there. Can you read that poem, please?
yeah,
Let me see that.
yeah, I will. Yeah, which woman? أي امرأة ستقربنا عند أول رؤية غير التي اشتريناها بعمرنا؟ أي البيوت سيهجرنا وقت السيل غير الذي بنيناه على أكتافنا؟ أي الطرقات ستركلنا عند أول مفترق غير التي مهدناها للآخرين؟ أي الميادين سنشنق فيه دون ذنب غير الذي رشقنا فيه تماثيلنا؟ أي المسافات ستقتلنا غير التي تتوزع بين القصائد؟
I want to ask one thing, that is there difference between the English translation and the Arabic translation? Because in English translation, the woman is very small. But
Because
your
actually the title of woman maybe I have in many poems, so I choose the nearest one because woman is coming to titles of poems many times.
oh, so I have the smaller one, but that is also very beautiful. स्त्री, तुम क्या दोगे सूरज की स्त्री को? जिंदगी बर्बाद करने के बाद सर्दी की आकाश गंगा से आने वाली स्त्री की परछाई में. This is a small poem, but I like that the women of sun. It was a very beautiful image. जिंदगी बर्बाद करने वाली के बाद सर्दी
The
की
voice,
आकाश
please.
गंगा से. हाँ. Hello, can you hear now? Hello, 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 hello.
Okay.
Okay, so there is actually connection in my mobile. So that is what I want to like this small poem. It is a very small poem which I read. Maybe I'm reading something else. That it is so beautiful, so soft, and very sharp. The women of a sun. So I think we are reading different poems.
Yes.
Now, do you want to read that map of the house? Yeah, tell me.
I can, yes, map of the house I can come, I can read, yes.
A map of the house once there. Is it okay?
Okay.
So I will read now. Okay.
Okay.
वहां बने मकान का नक्शा. एक मकान है जिसमें मैं रहता हूँ. वह वहां बस इसकारता है दोने के खोते दोन की खोते की मिलों की तरह. वह बहुत दूर से यह कब्र के पत्थर सा दिखता है. यदि तुम वहां जाओगे तो इसकी बालकनी में मुझे सलीब पर चढ़े देखोगे, सीगुल पंछियों के झुंड को देखते हुए, मानो कि मैं अपने बेजान पंखों का स्पर्श कर रहा हूँ. बहुत ही खूबसूरत कविता. इट्स सो ब्यूटीफुल.
Yeah, thank you. These collections of this collection of map poems I have in English, so I will read it in English. A map of a house over there. There is a house where I live over there. It sniffles like the mills of Don Quixote. From far away, it looks like a gravestone. If you are approaching there, you shall see me crucified on its balcony, watching the flocks of seagulls as I touch my lifeless wings. Yeah, yeah, it is complicated image of waiting. Maybe it was written in the time of lockdown in history.
It looks like that because poets are thinking for the future also. So it looks like that you're writing before the lockdown, or you're
It works better when the mic is closer.
Oh, sorry. And now it is okay. Now it is okay. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So I feel that it is before lockdown. You have talked about the lockdown. So now, which poem I read? Do you tell me that for the dust poem? The poem for the dust. One. Do I read a poem for the dust? One. Hello, hello, hello.
Now is okay.
Do I
Yes,
read a poem? Do I read a poem for the dust?
okay.
You have no that एक ऋचा धूल के लिए, that one richa for the dust. 56. I think you have 56.
What is the title in English?
One hymn for the. You have translated, I think.
Yes, but I need the English title.
I do not know which is. I think this is for the dust, no? Sand or dust, something like that.
Okay, okay.
So this is kind of richa I have written, like in a Rig Veda, we have richas, prayers. So it is like a richa.
But I will listen to your poem, and also it is in Hindi, but I will read something in Arabic, maybe different, because I want to read it. It is a call for to be angry, angry for once, something like this.
Do you want
Yeah,
that? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
anger once. Yeah.
Anger one. Okay. And that today I have taken. Chartered accountant and anger. Yes, you can. I have it.
Yes.
So you read first the anger poem.
Okay. Okay. اغضب لمرة واحدة. كان يجب أن نغضب أنت، أنا، نحن جميعا. فمن الصعب جدا أن تحترق القسوة تحت الرماد لدرجة أن تخفي الحرب نفسها في خوف أكثر من ذلك بكثير، وأنت تحافظين على دمية بناتك من الحطام. قالوا إن الغضب ليس بالأمر السليم، وأنت قبلت. قالوا إن الغضب مضر بالصحة، وأنت ملأت من خاريك بالأكسجين للدرجة التي حدت بالأشجار أن تختنق. احترقت أجنحة العصافير، وقالوا أن عليك التأمل والجلوس خلف التماثيل التي صنعناها. لقد نسيت أن هناك بطونا باتت بلا خبز، وباتت بملابس تمزقت. ظنوا أن تقيم الخيام، طلبوا أن تقيم خيامك قرب الأنهار، وأن تترنم بالأغاني الدينية لتدخل روح النهر، واستمر في تدميرها كما استمر في حفر الجبال. لكن هذا هو الوقت الأنسب لإظهار الغضب على الموقف المهين تجاه الفتيات، على المياه المختلسة من كنف الأنهار، على تشويه طبيعة الأغنام المحاكية عليك وعليهم وعليه، وعلى من معه كوب من الشاي وهو يقرأ الصحيفة يقول: ما مدى السوء هذه المرة، وما الذي يمكن عمله حين ذلك. Yes, we must be angry for what is happening.
कायदे से गुस्सा आना चाहिए था, कायदे से गुस्सा आना चाहिए तुम्हें, मुझे, उसे और हम सबको, इतना तेज कि बर्बरता जलकर राख हो जाए, इतना कि युद्ध डर कर दुबक जाए, इतना कि तुम्हारी बेटी की गुड़िया टूटने से बच जाए। उन्होंने कहा कि गुस्सा जायज नहीं है और तुम मान गए। उन्होंने कहा कि गुस्सा सेहत के लिए बुरा है और तुम नथुने भर भर के ऑक्सीजन खींचने लगे, इतनी कि दरख्तों के दम घुट गया, गोरैया के पंख जल गए। उन्होंने कहा कि ध्यान लगाओ और बैठ जाओ हमारे बताए हुए बुतों के पीछे। तुम भूल गए कि किसी के पेट में रोटी नहीं है तो किसी के कपड़े उधड़े हैं। उन्होंने कहा कि नदी के किनारे तंबू गाड़ो, भजन गाओ, तुम नदी की आत्मा में उतर कर उसको गलीच करते रहे, पहाड़ों को उधेड़ते रहे, जबकि तुम्हें गुस्सा आना चाहिए था। बार बार लड़की को बेइज्जत करने वाली मानसिकता पर, नदियों की गोद से चुराए गए जल के खोने पर, भेड़ को बदनाम करने वाली अनुकरणीयता पर, तुम पर, इस पर, उस पर, जो हाथ पर हाथ रख चाय के साथ बलात्कार की खबर को चुस्कियां भरकर कहते हैं, ओह कितना बुरा जमाना है। लेकिन हम कर ही क्या सकते हैं? और हम कर ही क्या सकते हैं? लेकिन कायदे से हमें गुस्सा आना चाहिए और हम सब चुपचाप बैठे हैं।
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Rati ji. But you have 1 minute to ask me a question.
Yeah.
Now I am acting like interviewer.
You asked me that what is your
Voice,
yeah,
please.
you asked me that what is my strategies for
The voice.
translation. Now, hello.
Now I can't hear the question.
Uh, now I want to ask you
Yeah.
the same question you asked me, that what is your strategies for the translation?
Yes, it is. It was very easy because I didn't translate a lot. So it first I have to be aware, maybe totally, by the world of the poet or poets I'm translating. That's why the three books I translated and published were from Korea through English because I went to Korea. So without going there, I wouldn't be able to know the atmosphere, the world, the monks I translated for are like. Being there was very easy to introduce me to their world. And when I translated from English, I need a lot of explanations, a lot of reading about the words and maybe methods, and that thing. It means like you are not only translating, but you are making a book of history, a book of documentary, many things you need to know. When I translate an article or a poem, you need to know the background of all these names coming in a poem. Without knowing the backdrop or the back history or whatever the meaning behind these figures or words, even small words, you cannot translate. So I put myself in the world of the poet and read as if he reads and write as if he writes. And I try to keep the tempo, which is very important. So when you read it in Arabic, it is like an Arabic poem, or it is Arabic written in a poem written in Arabic. This is very important because I want the reader to join me, amuse and getting the amusement of this poem, whatever I translate.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you. I understand that because I remember that for my first book, when I was translating Ayappa Panikar's poems, which and some poems were travel poems which he has written when he was traveling around in Europe. And by then I have not visited Europe, and I could not connect myself with those poems. I have to communicate with the poet, and I have to understand the background history. But one thing good that by understanding and by communication, I could understand. This is a very interesting thing happen in a translation, which I think very rarely it happens. My first translation was done for the Ayappa Panikar, who was a very great poet in Malayalam. He was the window of the modernity in Malayalam literature. And he was very defamed for not giving interview. He was never like to talk about himself. But I was outsider and I had to translate his poem. So while translating, I was asking many questions to him, and he was explaining that when I was there, I have done this and this happened, that happened, and that is how I came to know about his life history. And I have written a book about his life history after him, that everything is a past tense, uh, with those poems only, because at last he agreed that he says that yes, a poet almost bring his life in his poetry. So with those poems I could figure out his life history, and I have written a book on him, which was not very common. And but same thing, I feel that I enjoy translating poetry. Some poems, because like I have this anger and all images, it is easy because everyone those images. But when the images are very concrete and very local, that yellow leaves are not very common in India. We have we have either the brown leaves, and we have the seasons are also different. Like October is not yellow like Europe. In India, October is quite green, especially in Kerala, it is very, very green. So these kind of images are difficult unless you go to that place and understand. But I have translated a lot, and I enjoy translating. I still enjoying translating because it is like a traveling in. Like I have not come to Egypt, but while translating Egyptian poetry or literature, I can travel to your country. So that is also a traveling to a unknown place while translation. That is my image. Uh, So that is how. So I think it is 1 hour. So shall we
Yeah.
wind up?
We'll say goodbye to our audience, and we hope
Mm.
that recording will grow many audience also to the epic this episode in YouTube and Facebook.
Thank you. We will continue this platform twice in a month, because we want more and more translation will take, more and more communication between
Yes.
different languages take place. This translation platform is for anyone who come with a pair with the translation. We welcome them, and every second and fourth uh, Wednesday,
Wednesday.
no, Wednesday, no,
Yeah.
Wednesday, we invite for this festival. We have just presented our program today because we wanted to tell you that how we are going to do it. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ashraf. It is because of you it happened. So bye. Take care. Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye bye.
ये गर्म हो जाता है